So last week, ChatGPT came out with an update that completely changed the game for graphic design and just digital design as a whole. Everywhere I looked on Twitter, people were talking about it, sharing what they were finding, and talking about how it's over for graphic designers, people that make ad creatives, people that make YouTube thumbnails. It's over, they're done. ChatGPT has completely replaced them. But in this video, I'm going to talk about why that is not 100% the case yet, even though the writing's on the wall, and that's probably going to happen one day. But there's a couple things that it can't do yet, so I want to show you what its limitations are so you don't get too excited, and so that you know exactly how you could potentially save a ton of time or money by doing some of this stuff yourself when it comes to YouTube thumbnails. In the last 30 days, I've made over 80 thumbnails personally in Canva myself for clients. I have a whole bunch of templates, which I'm going to go through some of them and show you why I still think it's actually faster to do a lot of this yourself if you're good with something like Canva or Photoshop, and then talk about what it's actually able to do on its own. And then I'll show you what ChatGPT could be used for that would be potentially useful. So let's get into it. All right, so just to get right to the point, here's some of the things related to thumbnails that it's able to do that I saw popping off on Twitter. A lot of it's from this account, Apollinator 3000. This guy shares a lot of stuff about AI in general, especially this update. It just kept coming up. There were other people, but these were the main ones that I saw, and a lot of the ideas about how it should be used, I think came from here first. So I'm just going to go through. So the first thing it can actually do that's cool is take a sketch and turn it into a realistic thumbnail. So if you're able to see this, it says, turn this sketch into a Squid Game style, hyper realistic, 16:9 aspect ratio YouTube thumbnail. The guy on the left should be in a red jumpsuit Squid Game guy, and the guy on the right should be a rich billionaire smoking a cigar and holding champagne. The background should be faded, but be many Squid Game character contestants in blue jumpsuits and a bright blue sky behind them. So it took this prompt and within 30-60 seconds made this, which is spot on. That's insane. Now, the key here is a lot of this was done, and like, yeah, you can make a sketch pretty fast, but there's detail to this. So I'm going to say, you know, you might be able to find some assets like this already, or just rip them manually yourself with Canva, because Canva does magic select, background erase automatically. So there's a lot of stuff like this that you could find and throw together, but maybe it is faster to actually do the sketch. Just depends on how bad your sketch is. I've definitely seen worse sketches than this get turned into thumbnails that look this good. So this method is pretty crazy. One of the keys here is these people don't exist. This isn't a face. The triangle mask, like a Squid Game character, it's not a face. And this is just a made up person. The problem would be, which you're going to see a little bit later, is if you said, hey, here's this picture of me, you know, take all the aspects of my face and make me the guy with the cigar. It's not going to be that close. It's, at least for most people, it's not going to be close enough to where you'd be happy with it. I haven't seen any clients approve of thumbnails that I've used to do this or anything like it. Now, if you have a faceless channel or something like that, this will work great. Let's go to another one, right? So again, an example of like a faceless channel or something. Turn this sketch into a hyper realistic 19:20 by 1080 YouTube thumbnail. Follow the rules that are given on the thumbnail in text. Now that's crazy, because if you zoom in, like this mask that he has, the glass wasn't cracked, and he instructed it to create a moon underneath him, to crack the glass, to add a Soviet flag there. This is really crazy, and it's really good. But if you don't have a faceless channel, or you don't make thumbnails, like you put your face in every thumbnail, cool, you could generate some background stuff, but again, like it's not going to make you right. And I'm not saying this because I'm a big AI hater, or I'm upset like a lot of people are that AI is going to replace this. I want it to. I was disappointed that it wasn't working for what I needed it. But if this is what you're doing, then this is going to work. You don't need to hire a thumbnail designer if you're making videos like this. Now, this one, a PNG dump, this is basically, he went into Canva or Photoshop, had the aspect ratio of the thumbnail, took these random pictures online, the background, the flag, and this guy, and he doesn't show the prompt, but he basically told ChatGPT to take the random elements and combine them and get the lighting right and get the texture right and just blend it together. And it did. Now for me, you know, there wasn't too much that changed here. I think that I could have done this manually almost just as fast as ChatGPT might have done it. If you have to wait a minute or two, okay, maybe at scale, it would be faster to do it this way. But if you're just doing one thumbnail for yourself, me personally, I'd rather have control over the individual elements of the thumbnail. I'm actually going to go into ChatGPT, show you some prompts that I tried, show you some things like that, but I just want to walk you through what's here. So one thing that it can do, that Canva definitely can do, but not as well, is extracting pieces from full thumbnails. So he was able to pull out the entire castle from the background. Now, Canva can do that really, really well, except for the generation of what's missing is not always accurate. Like sometimes it's pretty blurry. This didn't have an issue with that. So if you want to rip specific items from thumbnails, I would give this a try. I haven't really tried this myself. I'm going to try it live for this video just to see how it does. Now, one thing that this account shared that definitely came from here, I didn't see this anywhere else before this account, so all credit to them, but building a .json profile for an artistic style to base new images on. I'm going to read you through this prompt so you can understand what that is. He took a bunch of these Mr. Beast thumbnails, create a .json profile. This should be a thumbnail style that extracts data from these thumbnails so that I could send the JSON to an AI to give it immediate context on how to replicate such thumbnails in a consistent style. It shouldn't include specific data on a thumbnail to thumbnail basis, but it should give a broad overview of how to generate thumbnails in this style. It should include the coloring style, contrast, saturation, structure, type of element, placement, branding, every single detail that will help AI replicate such thumbnails. So he explains in another tweet, which I don't have here, why this is the best way to do it. I don't know too much about .json, but it's basically a code format that gets all the details in a nice, organized manner for the computer and AI to read super fast. It's definitely the most efficient way to give data to these LLMs so that they can process the style and get the details and everything right, as opposed to, you know, just using language to explain the style and what you want. This just is a format that it can understand better, more accurately, and faster. So you could see here, he took these, I don't know what artist did this, but it's like a graffiti style Monopoly money, a bunch of pieces of art or graffiti, got a JSON profile and used it to generate this and had it generate this cartoon version of Eman Gadzi, right? So that's insane because to make something like this from scratch would have taken a long time. So this is where it comes in handy. And some of the most popular memes and trends that were coming up once this update rolled out was people making cartoon versions of themselves from The Simpsons, from popular animes, from just anything in general. That's what it excels really well at. When it's not trying to make a realistic version of your face, it can do that. It can make a cartoon extremely well. That's the type of stuff I would use this for. And there's so many use cases that we haven't even scratched the surface of yet that make this already cool. So again, like, I'm not hating on this. I think this is a fantastic tool, but it's not going to fully replace the thumbnail process. And for the type of stuff that I make, at least, and the stuff that I make for my clients, it's not going to replace that. It's still faster for me to do it manually. Canva does have some AI built in. I'm going to show you how that works. So one thing to cover really quick is that I did get some advice on Twitter from someone that said, hey, you could use ChatGPT to make the thumbnail with you. And then if the face is off, there's another AI tool somewhere else. There's a bunch out there, but it's called a face swap. And you could just take a real picture of yourself and put it to the version that's a little bit uncanny. Again, like, I still think it would be faster. I don't really feel like learning that. Maybe that's a skill issue on my part. I'm definitely gonna put the time in to figure that out. But for right now, like, this isn't a bottleneck for me. So I'm keeping up with this just to keep up so I don't fall behind. But I haven't switched over to doing a face swap or using any of this to make my thumbnails yet. Now, I will talk about some of the things now inside of ChatGPT. I'll walk you through some prompts that I made and show you some ways that you can use it to get cool results. And then I'm going to show you my process of how I would do something manually that a lot of people might use ChatGPT or think to use it to try first. And I'll show you why you might get better results doing it manually with less time invested. So what I did was take the prompt about creating a brand style profile in the form of a .json object, took a bunch of thumbnails that I liked and wanted to see how it would do. So here's everything that I said it should include: color usage, typography, lighting and vibes, subject placement, background style, composition layout, branding elements, visual tone, post-processing style, general style tag. And from there, here's what it gave me: a ton of data, all of this stuff, super useful. Now, what I prompted it to do was I gave it a picture of me that was already upscaled and edited. So I said, using this image as the human subject and the previous .json file, create a realistic horizontal 1080 by 720 thumbnail with the subject on the left. Make a clipboard on the right with the blue gradient background, and the text should say this thumbnail is AI in black text with the word AI in red text. So a little bit of detail there. Maybe I confused it, but to me, that's a pretty straightforward prompt. Here's what happened. Right, this is not usable, not even close. This looks freakish. This, honestly, looking at it scares the hell out of me right now. I'm going to scroll past it. You could see how it sort of resembles the image, but it's so uncanny, freakish looking. I would never use it. Now, someone was like, well, you can just use a face swap. Well, yeah, maybe, but I could just take a real picture of myself and then make it. Maybe that's harder. Maybe some people can't do that. Me, personally, I can, and I wouldn't use this. The time it would take me to figure out how to prompt this correctly, maybe you're going to say this is a skill issue. Maybe it is a skill issue, but it's still faster for me to do it the way I've already been doing it. Okay. So here's what happened. I just gave up on it. I said, unrelated to the previous task, can you simply remove the subject from the background? Send me back a horizontal 1920 by 1080p thumbnail exactly as is, just without the human subject in the middle. I wanted it to just, here's what it gave me. It still had, I should have started a new chat completely because it mixed up this instruction of saying this thumbnail is AI. So it wanted to tell me that it's still AI. Now, I'm not going to lie, it is pretty close, but it didn't do what I asked. It did this, which is annoying. And I still think that if I did this in Canva, I could easily just go to the magic grab tool, select him, it'll get him and hit delete, and then he's gone. Now, maybe behind him, the zero doesn't fill in properly and it's blurry, but so what? I could just, if I wanted to rip this background, I would either just use the magic erase tool and erase all the text behind him, or I would go ahead and just put another human subject over it so that it covers the mistake. I think that it would be monumentally faster and a better outcome, because at the end of the day, okay, this is a close knockoff, but you know, like, it doesn't have the depth and the texture and the vignette, however you say that, where it's like shadowy down here and then it gets brighter up top and there's like a gray hue going on here with these elements and the text where it looks like it's shiny. This is just kind of flat. So close, but if we want it to be spot on, it's just not that impressive. Now, I did the same thing. I took a thumbnail here from Daniel Fazio's channel. I liked it. It's super realistic. I thought there's a lot of style to it that we could go ahead and take. And I just said, create a JSON file on it as an artistic style for reference. And this is before I had that prompt that was a little bit more detailed about what it should include, but I wanted to see what would happen. So it did include a lot of stuff: background, main subject, thumbnail style, whiteboard, visual emphasis, contrast, composition, overall style, keywords. It's pretty detailed. It's pretty good. So I ended up telling it, I gave it 4 images of one of my clients. He's the owner of this company, Nipa Builders. His name is Toby. I said, create a JSON file for this guy, capture his likeness exactly so we can recreate him with another prompt soon. Character profile, appearance, all this stuff, expression variants, different, right? Because we had 4 different ones. Headwear, clothing, watch, pants, environment, lighting, vibe keywords. A lot of detail. Now, I made it do a correction. That's not really relevant. What happened was I said, now I want you to replace this figure with Toby in that original YouTube thumbnail I gave you. Here's the format. Replace the main text with self-liquidating funnels to say top renovation FAQ. This is what it gave me. Okay. If I sent this to him, he would say, hey, and he's a nice guy. He'd say, hey, Adam, I like the idea of the thumbnail, but can we get it to look a little bit more like me? It's close. It's really freaking close, but it's just not close enough to where he'd be happy with it. I'm not happy with it. I think this is a little off, and me trying to reprompt it, hey, can you move this text over? It's just not there. Now, I've seen people use ad creatives. That works fantastically well, but just replicating these thumbnails, not close enough. So let me show you what this looks like in Canva, how I would do something similar faster. So here's a thumbnail that I made of myself, okay? This is actually, I made this thumbnail from an Alex Hormozy thumbnail using the same method that I talked to you about, but we're gonna go ahead and rip it a second time. So the first thing I do is click on it, click edit. Immediately, I'm gonna go to the magic grab tool. I'm gonna select myself, and it already highlighted me, and hit grab, and we're gonna wait. Now, the thing is, most people might say, hey, ChatGPT, I want you to take me out of the thumbnail, just get me the background, just get me this whiteboard. Okay, well, I just deleted myself myself, okay, there's a little bit of an artifact here, but we can easily get rid of that just as fast. That was insanely fast. And now I have control over the layers because say I go back, I could move myself. I could do whatever. I have way more control than just waiting, hoping ChatGPT followed my instructions accurately. Now, what I would do is go ahead and go to the magic eraser tool and change the brush size. And I'm going to go ahead, deselect that, make sure I get it right only on this stuff, get rid of the shadow that's here, close enough. Let's see. And I'm going to hit erase and it's going to be like it was never there. Okay, pretty close. We just got to zoom in. One thing I found that works is not just erasing this part that you like or don't like, but extending it out to more of the area that you want it to look like. So I want it to be like the rest of the whiteboard. So I just pick a random area. That usually helps Canva's AI understand like, okay, we want it to be how it is now. So now I have this thing and I could even go a step further and, you know, I could just erase all of this stuff off here using the exact same method I showed you. And really, how long is this taking? 2 minutes? ChatGPT is going to make you wait this long anyway. And then you might have to reprompt it and think of what to say. And it's not going to get it right, or it's going to get it close. We already have it. I have it. It's been 2 minutes. I'm going to click magic grab. We can brush. If it's not going to get it, right? Like it's not picking up the whole whiteboard here. Let's see if I could prompt it to. Boom. Okay, there we go. It's got everything. Let's get the legs, that little piece. I hit grab. I sit back. I wait. This is just as fast. Boom. Okay, look. And it filled in the background pretty much perfectly. Like, why would I need ChatGPT to do this for me? There's so much that it can do, but this specifically is something that I wouldn't have it do. I have more control. I can go ahead and me knowing how to use Canva the way that I need to get things done, I could go ahead and make any kind of change I want and it's going to keep up with me. Now, let's say I grab myself again and we're going to try the PNG dump. So I made sure to click the pen so it included that. So it was even a cleaner grab than before when I tried it up here. So let's take all of this. I'm going to go ahead and make myself smaller. And let's just say I'm going to export this as a PNG. We're going to try the PNG dump, do page 1, and I'm going to pull it into ChatGPT, see what it does. I haven't even tried this myself yet, so we're going to find out live. So now we're in ChatGPT. I'm going to pull in this design. I'm going to tell it, I'd like you to turn this into a high quality 16:9 aspect ratio YouTube thumbnail by putting all of the elements in the right place, keeping the background the same color, sizing the person and the whiteboard to fit the thumbnail properly. And I'd like you to add text on the whiteboard and say YouTube AI thumbnails in thick black bold letters. So somebody might see this and say this prompt sucks. Maybe it does, but this is my first time trying it. So we're going to see what it does. So we hit enter, getting started, and we're going to wait for it to get us a result. Here it's starting to roll out. I'm already a little concerned. I don't like this guy looking back at me here. That's a little freaky. Maybe I could go do a face swap, they say. Maybe that's the move. I don't think so. I don't know. I've been sitting here for 2 minutes already. Me personally, knowing how to use Canva would have, you know, it says sing instead of king. I like that. Yeah, I wouldn't style the text like this. Maybe I could give it a JSON file of better fonts or tell it a specific font to use. Again, I just keep coming back to this over and over, but if you know what you want and you know how to do it yourself, I don't know if this is a huge time saver. I guess if you know nothing, then this might help you, but just again, I wouldn't use it for this task yet. So I've been saying all this stuff about what I wouldn't use it for. Let's find a good use case for it. I think there's so many, but let me see if I could find it to do something useful for thumbnails. So I'm going to tell it, you'll see me tell it what I need to tell it. I would like you to remove the whiteboard from this thumbnail and send back only the whiteboard with all of the text and images on it with a blank white background. Make sure to remove everything else and keep the aspect ratio the same, which is a 16:9 YouTube thumbnail. So you can see the thumbnail here. We're going to try this asset extraction. We're going to see if my prompt is garbage or not. I just wanted it. I mean, I think I spoke in pretty plain English. Let's just take out the whiteboard here or whatever this is. All right, so it started generating here. I am not too impressed at the moment. I think I'm going to take the blame here. I'm going to say this is a skill issue. I need to up my prompt game. I think AI is going to outpace me. Maybe I'm not smart enough to get this done, but I don't know. That's not the same thing. It's trying to recreate it. Actually, now that I think about it, now that I see this, I think it's actually, I take some of that back. It's actually pretty close. It just changed too many things. It didn't just take the whiteboard. It added this marker. it's probably a skill issue. It's probably just a prompt thing. I'm sure I could use a different asset or a different thumbnail or a better example even, and have it take the proper thing out that maybe Canva couldn't do. Maybe I couldn't do it in Canva, right? We'll have to see. I'm going to have to keep playing with this. I just wanted to run this experiment for this video. I know for a fact, I could tell it to make something really cool. If I try one more thing, let me go find an ad creative. So I found a vintage 1960s hat ad, and I found a new hat, and I'm going to tell it to recreate the ad with the hat. Hello, I would like you to create an ad in the same format and style as the hat ad that I've given you here, but I'd like you to use the picture of the hat that I gave you as the centerpiece of this ad. Just use the ad I gave you as a reference for style and try to take inspiration from it. That's a garbage prompt. I don't think that even makes sense. Let me see if I can try this. Hello, I would like you to create a .json file of this ad creative. Don't necessarily cover specifics, but get general style points so that we could recreate similar ads in this style by giving the JSON to an AI. All right, so not the best prompt in the world, but here we go. And I think we're getting some good stuff. Let's see. Now I'm going to give it a hat. Now, please create an ad using that JSON file, but with this hat. So let's see what this turns out. This is something I've seen work. I don't see why this wouldn't work. I think it's going to do a really good job, but maybe not with thumbnails. At least not what I've seen. And with my current skill set as a prompter not being there, not fully sold on using ChatGPT for thumbnails. The thing that I did think was useful is generating backgrounds for thumbnails. If I wanted to, in that Squid Game example, say, hey, I want you to take Squid Game characters, put them behind me with the bright blue sky, make it in a format. Okay, I could use that to get a lot of the footwork done, but I'm not making a lot of thumbnails like that. So let's see what this turns out. Is it actually using the hat that I gave it? Probably not. This isn't what I asked it. Maybe this AVIF file is just unreadable. Let's see. I can't even read this. This is bad. But it did recreate it with the new guy, new colors, kept an airplane. It's different. It definitely looks nice. It makes sense. The text makes sense, right? So like this is where it comes in handy of making something that's not supposed to be hyper realistic. Maybe I should have used the words hyper realistic. I see that get thrown around a lot, but that ain't me. That's all I could say. I'm not using that. And I'm not using a face swap when I can just get a picture of myself. Yeah, so that's pretty much the conclusion of this AI experiment and my thoughts on how relevant is it to thumbnail design. Again, just for the style that I use it for. All right, so with that being said, those are my thoughts. If you have better ideas for how I should prompt or get better at prompting, I'm open to it. You can leave a comment below. Anybody has any useful guides, I'm all ears. If you want somebody to actually handle thumbnails for you or teach you how to do it, I'd encourage you to watch videos on my channel. I do give a lot of tutorials. I am going to give a more detailed part 2 to how I actually make thumbnails, why I do certain things, and why I have thumbnails include certain things if you're using your channel as a business owner trying to generate leads. And if you want somebody to do this on a completely done for you basis, not just thumbnails, but the entire YouTube process itself without having to spend, hours scripting, coming up with ideas, yelling at ChatGPT, trying to get it to do what you want to do, then click the first link in the description, fill out the application to speak with me, and we'll be in touch, see if this is a good fit or not. Regardless, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Make sure to like this video as well, and we'll talk soon.